Welcome to another episode of Shipper War, my review of The Hunger Games.
Shipper War. When ship happens, I'm there.
Now, this is definitely one of those cases that I wish I never read the book prior to seeing the movie, because I felt while I was watching this movie, I was being very critical towards it, even though I went into the movie telling myself, just watch it, be entertained, and do not criticize it or compare it to the book while you're watching it. But it's just automatic. As a person who's already read the book, you just automatically start comparing each thing that's happening in the movie to the damn book. And that just annoyed me so much that I was doing that and I couldn't help it. And for that, I just couldn't truly 100% enjoy this film. I did enjoy the movie for what it was, but I felt like they left a lot of things out that they should have added, and I felt like if they added maybe 30 minutes more to the film, I know the movie's like already 2 hours and 20 minutes long, but just 30 minutes more into the film so they can develop the characters more at the beginning and show more of District 12 and for you to get a better understanding how poor these people are and just the struggle of, their daily lives. It would have felt a lot better in telling the story of the Hunger Games and as to why this is taking place. I just wanted more of the backstory of why North America is the way it is, and they really didn't do much of that. I mean, they talked about it, but I felt it wasn't enough. My other issue is the romance in this movie. Okay, while reading the book, I personally was never a fan of the whole idea of Peeta and Katniss. I just never cared for it. So seeing this movie and seeing that relationship develop and just seeing it be even as less interesting on screen as it was for me on paper was very disappointing. Now, prior to actually seeing the movie and just going by the trailers, I felt like the actor they cast for Peeta just wasn't who I imagined Peeta to be. I felt like whoever this actor was, he just didn't look the role. And then watching the movie, I just didn't feel like he was Peeta in a lot of ways. And it was very disheartening because I felt like Jennifer Lawrence was amazing. She was amazing. Like, nobody can dispute that. In this movie, she was amazing. And I felt like she was on a completely different level than this actor was who's playing Peeta. And it just didn't work for me. The relationship just didn't work for me. And it went back to my thoughts in the book that I always liked the idea of Katniss and Gale. And then watching this movie, I felt exactly the same. Maybe it was biased, I don't know. But I think Liam Hemsworth is just a better actor than the actor who plays Peeta. And I felt like Jennifer Lawrence and him had a lot of chemistries with the little scenes that they had. I felt they had a lot more chemistry. And I found myself more interested in seeing what was going on with those two than I did with Katniss and Peeta. And it's funny, my cousin, she's never read any of the books. She went to this movie absolutely knowing nothing about it. And while watching the movie, it was kind of funny because there was a particular scene that something happened between Katniss and Peeta. And my cousin's reaction was like, why is she messing up with the dick that she has back at home? Basically what she's trying to say is, dude, she has like a really fine-ass guy back at home, Gale, who's nice to her, blah, blah, blah. Why the hell is she like trying to, do something with this Peeta guy? But again, in the book, they explain why she does it, because she's kind of like trying to manipulate the whole situation and try to like, get more sponsors and whatnot, which they kind of, shine a light on that, but not really. They kind of made it seem like, Katniss was falling for him, which in the book is kind of how it went. It's just very confusing. I feel like because I read the book, I'm like so like, just so torn by what I feel for this film. Like, I enjoyed it, but I wanted more out of it. That I wasn't really satisfied with what I saw, and I hate myself for this. So now I told myself I am not reading the next 2 books whatsoever. I'm just going to watch the movies, and that's it. Because this whole like reading the book thing and then being critical towards the movie because of the book, I hate when people do that, and I started doing that, and it was so obnoxious. But there's one positive thing about reading the book that I have to say, and it has to do with the character of Rue. There's a particular scene in the movie that something happens, and I felt really sad during that scene to the point that I did cry during it. And it's funny because everybody else that was with me who hasn't read the book just didn't feel absolutely nothing towards this scene. And I didn't understand why, because I thought it was so sad to the point that obviously I was crying. And I think it's because I just remember that emotional scene in the book. So when it happened in the movie and I visually saw what was taking place, I felt extremely sad during it. So that was one positive I must say that happened due to reading the book and being translated then to film. So that is all for this episode of Ship of War. Goodbye, and until next time, and may the odds ever be in your favor.